This flexible water supply hose has been torn and badly damaged, and everyone says it should be thrown away. But today I'm going to fix it and prove that it can still work like new. When a flexible water supply hose is damaged and torn in several spots, many people usually choose to throw it away and replace it entirely with a new one. However, if the inner core is still intact and the damage areas are not too severe, you can absolutely repair it and continue using it for suitable purposes. Today, I'm going to share a repair trick that I often use, a method to reinforce the torn section, improve its sealing and durability, and help the hose operate more reliably without needing to replace it right away. For the section that is torn close to the inner threaded end, I will cut it off completely. Then, I'll refine the cut surface by lightly trimming it flat, removing any burrs, and slightly rounding the outer edge. I will remove this inner threaded connector, and inside it there's a rubber washer that prevents water from leaking. I'll keep it for reuse. Inside, there's a rubber washer that acts as a seal, preventing water from leaking when it is tightened onto the supply outlet. I will keep this washer because it is still elastic and shows no signs of cracking. This insert core is pressed very tightly into the inner rubber hose. So to make removal easier, I will gently apply heat to that area. As the temperature rises, the rubber will soften and expand slightly, allowing the insert to come out more easily without the need to use excessive force. After completely removing the insert core, I will now reuse this nut to create a tool for repairing the hose. I'll cut the nut in half lengthwise to form two symmetrical halves. After cutting it in half, the cut surfaces may be slightly rough and uneven. I'll clean up the edges by filing them lightly to remove any sharp burrs and metal fragments. All the tools are ready, so now I'll start by repairing the threaded end first. I will reinstall the insert core and place the rubber washer back into position, making sure everything is properly aligned before securing it in place. Here, I have a bench vise. I'll use it to hold the two halves of the nut firmly together. Once the two halves are carefully aligned and fit tightly against each other, I'll apply super glue to secure them in place. Now, I will use a clamp ring I just made to press and secure the inner threaded end that I reinstalled earlier. I'll position the ring tightly around the joint between the rubber hose and the threaded fitting. Then apply even pressure to create uniform concentric compression. As the pressure increases, the outer gasket begins to compress and spread outward horizontally. Its original thick, rounded shape gradually becomes thinner, expanding laterally and wrapping tightly around the joint. When I try pulling or twisting it by hand, there's almost no play or movement between components. The threaded end and the rubber hose now feel bonded together as a single solid unit, with none of the looseness they had before. The compression force from the clamp ring distributes pressure evenly around the circumference, creating stable mechanical grip. After completing the threaded end and verifying its structural integrity, I'll now move on to repairing the damaged section in the middle of the hose. At the punctured section in the middle of the hose, I will first use foam to repair it. I'll cut a piece of foam to match the size of the hose, making it easier to position and work with during the repair process. I apply a thin, even layer of adhesive along the edges of the tear, then press the two sides of the hose firmly back together, making sure they align precisely with their original position. I will place an additional layer of foam over the exact area that was just bonded, covering it completely to provide extra reinforcement and support. Once the foam layer has adhered securely to the outside, I will drip an additional amount of super glue evenly over its surface. As the adhesive penetrates, the foam begins to soften and gradually dissolve, blending with the glue to form a denser, more rigid composite layer than the original material. This process transforms a lightweight foam into a solid outer shell that bonds tightly around the hose body. Once the foam layer has fully hardened and turned into a solid material, I'll use a small knife to trim away any excess on the outside. I'll shave it down gradually, keeping the blade close to the surface to follow the natural curve of the hose. After achieving the basic shape, I'll continue by lightly sanding the repaired area with fine grit sandpaper. This step smooths and evens out the surface, removing any sharp edges or uneven spots caused by the hardened adhesive. When finished, the reinforced section is not only strong, but also smooth and streamlined, reducing the chance of snagging when the hose bends during use. I'll wrap a layer of electrical tape around the reinforced section on the outside. I'll stretch the tape slightly as I wind it around the hose to create consistent tension and ensure a tight fit. Each turn will slightly overlap the previous one, forming a uniform protective layer. This outer wrapping adds an extra level of mechanical support, helping to contain the repaired area and protect it from abrasion, moisture, and repeated bending. To further secure the inner repair, I will install a hose clamp around the reinforced section. Then, using a screwdriver, I'll gradually tighten the clamp to apply controlled radial compression. As the clamp tightens, it compresses the outer layers inward, locking the inner structure firmly in place. This addition of mechanical fastening ensures that the bonded layers remain stable under water pressure and repeated flexing. After completing the entire repair, the hose feels significantly more solid and stable. When connected to the water supply and pressurized, there are no visible leaks at either the threaded end or the reinforced midsection. The repaired areas remain firm under operating pressure, with no bulging, separation, or seepage. Even when bending the hose repeatedly, the reinforced section maintains its shape and structural integrity without soft spots or cracking sounds. Overall, the repair restores both sealing performance and mechanical strength. Instead of being discarded, the hose is now fully functional again, capable of handling normal water pressure with reliable stability and extended service life. By repairing it instead of throwing it away, I've been able to make practical use of materials that would otherwise become waste. This not only saves the cost of buying a new hose, but also extends the service life of an existing component through simple reinforcement techniques. With careful disassembly, proper surface preparation, controlled compression, and layered reinforcement, this damaged hose has been restored to reliable working condition. What initially seemed beyond repair turned out to be completely salvageable with a methodical approach and a few simple materials.